Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to the R&R edition of the Rage and Remarks Wrestling Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ravishing Randy.
Oh, Rampage. What is it? Yeah, Rampage.
Rampage Ramsey.
Yeah.
Good to have you back in front of the camera again, buddy.
I know, that's different. I'm not used to being around the camera or even being acknowledged I'm here sometimes.
Well, I was going to say, man, I'm a little dumbstruck too because we had a crazy weekend of wrestling. Really, it's been a crazy few weeks of wrestling going back to post-WrestleMania. So, definitely a lot going on. I know when we did our last show, we were talking about that this episode was going to be kind of a state of wrestling, so to speak. Just like a lot of big developments out of Mania, and then a lot of the other companies are having a lot going on.
Which pretty much will be a state, which is kind of like the state of wrestling because it's basically, hey, it's after WrestleMania, this is what's going on, this is the new... We can talk about like what's going on in the future, what kind of the storylines, what's kind of like cooking and going through, and then we also got like AEW pay-per-view.
Oh Jesus! I was gonna say you're AEW hater over here. Well, I was gonna say
basically. Look, see, I'm looking at the camera. I don't hate AEW. I hate Tony Khan because I think, hey. One, he doesn't know how to run. His family doesn't know how to run fucking the Fulham football team, and he doesn't know how to. They don't know how to run the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars. And how you expect any of us to expect that he's going to run a good wrestling company? But just like his father, let's fudge the numbers, because a lot of things he say I can't take face value, and so I think there's a car crash coming with that, and I'm there for it. I am so for it. I don't want people to lose jobs. I think it is competitive for other wrestlers to have jobs. That's great.
It's good for the business as a whole.
But also, too, is what the fuck are you doing getting wrestlers? You're just signing, and you're just doing nothing with them. Like Miro.
That's an interesting thing, and I don't know how much of that has to do with, like, him and CJ Perry's marital issues and, like, what else might be going on behind the scenes. Because it was kind of one of those things that you thought that maybe with her now in the company it might help the situation, but then we find out shortly after she joins they're filing for divorce. So there's a whole lot to undress there.
Divorce, and then it's rumored that she's dating someone. I can't...
Talking about Damian Priest?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, that's not exactly the type of stuff we were going to talk about in the state of wrestling, but I will, let's go ahead and backtrack a little bit. There's plenty of WWE stuff we can obviously get into, and we'll kind of save that for a little later in the show. But I do want to throw a quick shout out, TNK, Eat Your Heart Out. TNA had their Rebellion pay-per-view this past Saturday. A lot of really good, solid wrestling action out of it. I'll throw just a couple of quick shout-outs out there. Mustafa Ali. Ever since he's broken away from WWE and has kind of ventured out there on the independent scene, taking bookings all over, I've kind of loved the character development that he's shown, basically with this world domination-esque character. And also more of a political character, too. Like, he's campaigning out there to be on these different indie shows. He's your current X Division champion. He retained the championship against Jake Something. Good quality match. Several other good quality matches down the card. Josh Alexander and Hammerstone kind of jumps out as one. Then the main event, Nick Nemeth going up against Moose, who is the TNA champion. There were some people that thought that maybe it was a little too soon to have Nick Nemeth in the title scene, but it made for a pretty competitive match, pretty convincing, and he was unsuccessful in capturing that belt. So Moose remains champion, but the big takeaway from after that match or post-match is Matt Hardy making his return to TNA, but not just any Matt Hardy, broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah, but also, too, that he also tweeted after the match that he is still a free agent. He has not signed with TNA, and that he is still in negotiations with contracts.
Well, I mean, the other thing too, though, and as you kind of seeing this with some of the other smaller promotions, is that you could maybe have a contract with the TNA, but also work New Japan or work AEW, and likewise, like he doesn't necessarily need a long-term contract, but if he goes in for a few shows here or there, pop a number.
I know. There was a tease that he put out last week or the week before, to kind of like it's just like a Bray Wyatt, like a Wyatt 60s, that he might come back to WWE and be in the new stable with because Eric Rowan he was booked on an indie show, and he had to cancel his booking, and then that promotion actually says he will not be due to contract booking and signing. So when that comes out, that's one thing, says you sign back with WWE. So I think they're rolling with this. It started with the documentary with the Bray Wyatt,
which, by the way, amazing documentary. That was a great thing to kind of see in that WrestleMania weekend. Like
it's a very great documentary. It was hard hitting. If you didn't tug at your heart, something's wrong.
It was very true. I mean, it was a very truthful, honest assessment too. Even though it was like a WWE produced documentary, even the fact that WWE was taking some liability in the fact that, like, hey, we kind of dropped the ball with his booking in some stretches.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think that's the key part about it with the Triple H era is like, hey, accountability is going to be it. We know that we fucked up his booking. We know we fucked up. Hey, we are going to admit that we messed up. But I think they knew that what to do and what they were trying to do and everything. And it's great. I also think that bringing the Uncle Howdy coming back is a great idea. I think it needs to be just for clarity, to help Bo get some how you call it, clarity with
I think it could maybe be vindication for his booking once he got called up to the main roster. Because, like, when you look at how Bo Dallas was featured prominently in, like, FCW, NXT, like, you know, he was, like, the next big thing. And then he gets called up to the main roster. And granted, I loved that, you know, I love that initial character that he had on the main roster. Bo Leave, loved it. But then they just kind of did nothing with him after a while. You just kind of.
But also too, that's the time too that Vince just screwed up everything.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be a great show to look at, like how to go back on how many times Vince just messed over a gimmick that was hot coming out of NXT, and he just like killed it. You know, because there was like a couple others, like, you know, Adam Rose and the Rosebuds was over. You know, there were so many gimmicks that came over that was like, all right, dude, like, come on, just keep on going. The train's moving, let's go. And then it just, you know, the main Vince just screwed the pooch on a lot of them.
It's kind of interesting though how we come kind of full circle with this, you and I. That, like, one of the last times that you and I actually did like a duo show like this with the Rage and Marks podcast was like right after the passing of Bray Wyatt, of Wyndham Rotunda, and we kind of talked about how it sucked that, like, we were just about to get Bo Dallas back, and how he was about to be kind of a prominent figure on WWE television, and then with his brother passing, it kind of leaves a lot of that up in the ether. Like, okay, well, where does he go from here?
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice that as we're back here doing this show, you and I, we're sitting here talking about how we're going to keep that Wyatt legacy going.
It's coming. We don't know when, but they dropped in a little, like, it's back, not as blatant like they did with the White Rabbit, but they dropping nice little subtle tease during Raw and SmackDown, and I was like, all right, let's go. I'm ready for it. I love Bodette. And guess what? In his booking, the B team fucking loved it.
I love the B. Oh, like the B team. The reason why the B team, I think, got over with the fans is for the same exact reason why stuntman Damian Sandow, like the Miz's stunt double or whatever, worked so well. Is because the character was so ridiculous and over the top, and Miz helped to kind of get that over too. Like,
you know, it'd be so awesome right now. You bring that up. Bring Damian Sandow back and pair him with The Miz and R-Truth.
Oh, God.
As a double stuntman for them both.
Well, I was gonna say, I think he's kind of trying to remember if he's still with TNA or if he's kind of stepped away from the ring. I know he's like doing something else right now. As you're looking it up, was it Aaron Stevens or no? It was like Idol Stevens or something like that. Aaron Stevens, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say as we're looking this up while we're doing the podcast.
Is it working as a manager in NWA?
NWA, yeah. I was going to say, I know he's with one of the promotions, but yeah, you can get out of that. I mean, NWA is not really going much anywhere.
No.
I mean,
You want to speak about car wrecks?
Woo! Well, no, like I said, I just wanted to throw that little shout out real quickly to TNA because they had a really good show this past Saturday, and that kind of leads us into yesterday with AEW Dynasty. With their most recent pay-per-view. Now, I do want to backtrack a bit and kind of talk about the decision.
Before we get to that, can I just give a shout-out to one more promotion?
Sure.
For Saturday, because on Friday, WWE Live at London at the O2 sold out 16,000 tickets. And the X is saying, that's a lie. They sold more.
Huh.
They announced this number, 16,410, to the audience. But they were saying that there's more. There's actually more.
Well, I was gonna get to numbers and everything from WWE once we started talking about WWE.
I was gonna say that was amazing. That was amazing for Friday.
He's bringing up numbers because he wants to shit on AEW, which we're about to get on that. No, we're about to get on it.
It ain't about shit on AEW.
We are gonna shit on AEW for a second because I know we're gonna talk about the pay-per-view in a moment, but we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that was the decision to air the backstage footage from All In London, the backstage brawl between CM Punk and Jack Perry, if you could even call it a backstage brawl. I mean, it was kind of one of those things that, they teased that they were going to show this footage the week prior, and you're sitting there wondering, okay, this is the Bucks saying they're going to do it. Is it going to be a swerve? Is it going to be an angle, like where they suite a video where they have like mock actors in the roles or something like that. Just trying to figure out any way that like, okay, these characters of Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson are heels, and so they're going to do something stupid and outlandish because they're heels. Then we get to the night of the show, and like even before that, like in the day or two leading up to it, Tony Khan was like, no, this isn't a swerve, we're going to show the actual footage. And then they show the footage. And it did not go over as well, I think, with the general public as they might have thought it would have.
Well, here's the thing. There's two instances on this, because there's that footage, and then a couple days later, there was a Twitch cast that a certain EVP put out, which maybe might come a little bit more better than I used to. I respect him more as a person than I as a wrestler.
You're of course referring to Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega.
Right.
But when CM Punk went on Errol Hawani's show and said what he said, then you go show this footage, I'm saying, oh, this is going to prove fucking CM Punk wrong. It paints CM Punk as someone's word for fucking word was correct. What he did.
He literally laid it out exactly as it happened. Just choked him a little bit, you know?
And I was just sitting there, I'm like, he said everything he said. Boom, boom, boom.
And quite literally, the whole incident, like, I think the video was maybe just over a minute long, and then the actual incident was maybe only like 10 seconds. If even that, and that's because, like, as soon as the first push happens and then Punk lunges after him and gets him in a headlock,
Samoa Joe's like right there.
He's maybe got him in a headlock for like 2 seconds before Samoa Joe's already in breaking it up.
Yeah, he had him in a chokehold. Mm-hmm. He had him choke. He was choking, you know. Like, he had him choke. I just choked him out a little bit.
And again, I get their heels and they're, just trying to, draw up some kind of BS excuse as to why they lost their match at All In. But it was like just this really roundabout, convoluted way of being like, oh, well, because we had to deal with the blowout after that, We couldn't pray before our match against FTR, and that's why we lost. And again, it's heels being heels. But it seemed like you were really going the long roundabout way to try to connect this to storyline.
Because like first thing, they're nowhere seen in the fucking video. One, I'm like,
No.
so this is gonna make you two. You're the worst EVPs on the fucking planet because y'all don't know what the hell's going on in your locker room. First thing. Two, I hate to say it paints Punk into a brighter light that, yeah, I spoke the truth. You showed the truth. And oh, by the way, you're using my name, you're using my likeness to get ratings.
Pop a rating, yeah.
Because y'all not doing ratings as well. Papa waiting, which is like 100,000 plus pop raise in ratings. CM Punk gave Dynamite for that just little video. But then to come inside is like, I remember, when we talked about that incident, and I said like, and about how Punk takes care of stuff in the locker room, and I said I agree what Punk does, because being in a violent sport, that's how you act, that's how you control the locker room.
And I was the antithesis of that, saying that like the common denominator in a lot of these issues has been Punk being the aggressor, and so it was kind of like we disagreed on it at the time. I will say the more that has kind of come out about this, like honestly, the video that we saw, it really was a whole big nothing burger.
Nothing.
Like
it's
you
nothing.
would have thought that
it has
like
nothing to do where he should have got fired for. Nothing.
No. Well, I mean, he quit.
I seen.
He quit.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He quit. Like he said, I fuck this, I quit. And then
Tony Khan was like, "No, you're fired." And it's like, how do you save face in that whole exchange?
actually, he first thing Tony Khan needs to fucking send more money for him, because he quit. Joe and who was the producer? Jerry Lynn convinced him, no, come on, you gotta do business and everything. So he did it out. He went out there for Joe. He went out there for Jerry Lynn. Did the freaking match. Then they were like, all right, you can go. Because then, like he said, he went to go bought chicken for the boys and everything.
And security came back there and basically hovering over him.
You gotta go.
It's like, would I make your life easier if I just left? And it was pretty much like, yeah, you got.
So he left, got chicken for the boys, and then, the House of Black was in his room.
FTR like met up with him after.
So so Joe and everything. So like, hey, this is things like everyone goes back and says, oh, Punk. I think we can actually sit there and say, okay, all right, you can disagree with how he handles business and everything, and go, but then Kenny Omega went on his stream, and then he agrees, is like, yeah, that's how we handle business. That's how I believe that I'm a terrible EVP.
Well, he said that he's got like a certain mindset and a certain way of how he handles things, and that's not necessarily the way that other other EVPs handle things. So it kind of also does seem to show that like when the Elite went to Punk's locker room during Brawl Out, it wasn't so much Kenny looking to pick a fight, it was more so the Bucks that were looking to pick a fight with Punk.
Yeah.
And like so I mean, it's one of those things that definitely casts a different light on both the Bucks and Kenny Omega, and I feel like Kenny has done more to kind of ingratiate himself.
I think he has. I think he's like, look, and goes, I think he's kind of figured he has to step up and say, hey, I have to take, this step to say, hey, that look, it was wrong and everything, but hey, this is what I believe in. I did a terrible job. I am not an EVP. I'm a wrestler, which is correct. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. And I said it on this show when Cody left. They lost their vice president.
Yeah.
Their wrestling operations left with Cody. They brought CM Punk. They had another wrestling operation guy. But then you got people that running around like they're EVPs, but they're not EVPs, and it's not. the whole thing to me was, I was kind of taken back was, you know, they were like, oh, this is a committee that said that they're fired, and they used the
Brian
Bryan
Danielson
Danielson as a
kinda
sword.
like
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, he quit. He sat there and said he quit. But then you fired him. Then you put no clause on him.
mm-hmm.
What's going, like, you just let him walk right to WWE into the midst of a bloodline storyline, which is going like this, Cody, which is going like this, and then let's go. Dude, CM Punk's been hurt, and he's more relevant now. You made him relevant. Tony Khan and AEW. This is the funny thing. In 1 week, Raw had CM Punk chants. Wednesday, Dynamite had CM Punk chants.
Mm-hmm.
And the New Japan pay-per-view on Friday night had CM Punk chants. Just because fucking Tony Khan, and you want to show that fucking video, did nothing for you. You got ratings because of CM Punk. Guess what? He's not there. What happened to your ratings?
Mm-hmm.
It plundered. And I hate to say this too.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, is no shot at the wrestlers over there. Will Ospreay, great, talented wrestler. I'm not going to say he's the best in the world because there's better. I think there's better.
I'll argue with you on that, but go ahead. Finish your point.
Well, I mean, like in the wrestling business, you got to do multiple things.
You do.
And here's the thing. He's not a needle mover. Because if he's the guy, your ratings are not there yet. Your ratings have not been there. You got pop on ratings because of a guy that was there that gave you ratings.
We'll touch on that in a little bit, but no, the point you were gonna make was
you don't have no one to move that needle. You threw all this money, and you let him walk. Instead of taking a stance, like, all right, dude, like, CM Punk is bringing you money, because it's about money. It's about money. CM Punk's making you money. The Bucks are not making you money.
Here's the thing, okay, to that point, because you did talk about needle movers and everything like that. I do feel like they have those needle movers in AEW. The problem with AEW is story. Okay, I know as a hardcore wrestling fan, okay, I will watch AEW because I know more often than not I'm going to get quality in-ring work, or at the least entertaining in-ring work. I will watch and I will be thoroughly entertained by the action I see in the ring. The problem is they don't have the storylines that captivate the casual wrestling fan that is like, oh, hey, this is must-see TV because I got to see what's going to happen with this particular character next week on next week's show, or the things that keep you tuned in. WWE is fucking knocking it out of the park when it comes to riveting storylines. They have great action in the ring, but they have the storylines that keep you invested. That's like, oh man, okay, I have to watch every second of this show because I might miss a small little nugget. If it's like they're showing something backstage and there's something happening on in the background right there.
You gotta pay attention to the entire segment.
You have to watch the entire show. And it's like with AEW, you're missing that element. Now, I will say, coming out of the Dynasty pay-per-view, you do have some interesting, compelling story nuggets that we can kind of talk about a little bit, and it could be trending in the right direction. Now, I'll be honest, I did not get to watch the pay-per-view last night because sadly I had to work. I did, however, catch bits and pieces, caught clips. I watched a lot of reviews that kind of talked about the quality of the action, their impressions, and it seems to be kind of resounding across the board that this is one of the better AEW pay-per-views, period, as far as the in-ring action. And then again, you have little nuggets of story that it's like, hey, maybe this is something where we definitely need to tune into Dynamite this coming Wednesday to see how this develops. One thing that they addressed, and this is another knock that we've had on AEW for a while, is the fact that too many titles. We did get the 6-man tag titles unified. Bullet Club Gold is now your Ring of Honor and AEW six-man tag champs.
Just throw that titles in the fucking trash.
Well, moving on. We opened the card proper with Kazuchika Okada defending the AEW Continental Championship against Pac.
Hold on. Let's start off with the 0 hour.
I'm skipping over that. Like I said, we're not trying to talk about AEW all night.
No.
I'm just trying to go through the highlights.
It is not. This is. You talked to highlight. I'm gonna bring one low light.
All right.
You break up the
best friends.
The best friends, and then who turned heel?
Trent.
No new package. It's still the old package. The video package, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, he turned heel. Why? He should have a new package. He should have new. If you're going to turn him heel, don't have the old same the babyface freaking video package. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, why? You know, my mind is just turning is like why?
So he turned on Orange Cassidy. Did he turn on Shane Taylor?
Yeah, but Shane Taylor didn't turn on Cassidy yet. So you should, if you're gonna go heel, you gotta do away with the best friends. You can't be. You're not best friends. You gotta be like.
The best friends were Trent Beretta and Shane Taylor.
Yeah, if he turned.
Orange Cassidy got looped into that group, but the original best friends were those two.
But when you turn against the ultimate baby face in freaking AEW, you should have some type of heel package.
Yeah, you do need something to kind of denote the change.
Forget about his teammate. You turned on the hottest babyface at AEW, probably to this point ever. You turned on him, like that's all right. Heel package. You got to do that package, and you got to make him. To me it was just like I just was scratching my head. I was like, okay, but at 0 hour that was it about 0 hour.
Well, Kazuchika Okada and Pac opened the pay-per-view proper with the defense of the AEW Continental Championship. Great way to start the show. I love watching Pac. I love watching him go 100 miles an hour. Okada as a heel is actually pretty good.
How the fuck Pac keeps coming in and out? I don't really know when Pac comes on. Like, I thought ain't they supposed to be doing records and stuff like that? So how do you wrestle? I don't understand it. I don't understand how he just disappears and comes back up, going for a title.
I mean, look, I don't know. I'm not the booker. I'm just saying I enjoyed the in-ring work.
I was just saying it's kind of funny how they, tongue in cheek, he was like, oh, we're gonna go back to the rankings and to the records because the Seth Rollins and what's his name title fight on Raw. They're like, how he lost every match for the last 2 years. You just put him in the match for a championship.
Oh well, okay. Well, we did that with Jinder Mahal, which we'll touch on him in a little bit as well. But no, I mean Okada retains. It's a great way to open the night. We have a trios match between the House of Black and then a bunch of baby faces: Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe. Hard hitting match. I do like seeing Adam Copeland kind of blending his style in ring with the opponents that he faces. So seeing him work a variety of different styles, like seeing him get to work a lucha style a couple weeks ago was really cool. Seeing him kind of go hardcore with House of Black was really nice too.
See, he wanted to face. He's been wanting to face Alistair when he was in WWE.
Well, yeah. Well, now we
like,
got the teases in this match of Malachi Black, especially since Malachi got the pinfall over Adam Copeland. That's going to be your next feud for the TNT Championship. I'm actually intrigued to see the two of them go at it one-on-one in the ring. Brody King looked like a fucking beast in this match, but then again, Brody King looks like a beast.
Every match.
Yeah. But I loved seeing the exchanges between him and Eddie Kingston. And I love the fact that literally it took all three men hitting their moves on Brody King to bring him down. And even then, it was very hard to do. So, good, solid, hard-hitting match there. We follow it up, and this was a quick match for the TBS Championship between Willow Nightingale and Julia Hart, with Willow Nightingale capturing the TBS Championship. After it was all said and done, the big story, though, was Mercedes Moné coming down to the ring after the match, and basically we're teasing that we're getting Willow and Mercedes at the next pay-per-view, which will be Double or Nothing. And, you know, for those of you that have followed their storylines to this point, the last time that these two were in the ring together in a match, that was when Mercedes had her potentially career-threatening injury. So, yeah. You're not a big Willow person?
No.
I like Willow.
Nice person. I mean, she's a nice person.
But I mean,
I'm sorry. I understand that caveat with Willow and Monet, but Monet is on a higher level. Why she's not facing, like, I don't even care if it's like for TBS title, but why in her first match is like Thunder Rosa or maybe someone bigger.
We got a good Thunder Rosa, man. Hold your horses.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about her debut match.
But I will say
her debut match is going to be against Willow, and I'm like,
I will say, well, because you have a built-in story there, and I get it. I get what you're saying, but you do have a built-in story there. And so, again, if we are trying to push more stories into AEW, I do kind of feel like that's a good natural starting point, especially in the women's division. Especially if this eventually leads to Mercedes becoming a heel character, which, for the love of God, she needs to be, because we all know babyface Sasha Banks sucks, heel Sasha Banks is where the money's at. So if Mercedes Moné is going to get over even bigger in AEW, she needs to be a heel. But one other story note to kind of take away from that match was, you know, Julia Hart. They showed like a little video promo of her being upset backstage. Brody King coming and draping a coat over her back and being like, "Now we rebuild." And then all of a sudden she stopped crying. She got a serious face on. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what direction she goes in now that she's no longer the champ.
What I've heard, I think she's taking some time off because she is kind of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
She has some type of injury, so I know she's going to be probably off air for a little bit, trying to recover. I think the House of Black, it's going to be more with the Copeland and
The Malachi, yeah.
feud. I think you can probably try to see like a rebuild or build up of the stable, which, you know, needs a little fresh coat of paint.
Yeah. We then follow that match up with the AEW International Championship match between the champion Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. And the big story that they were kind of trying to tell in this match is the fact that these two guys know each other so well that, like, literally they were going after each other's weaknesses from the jump. And it was a hard-hitting match. Roderick Strong, those backbreakers, I mean, like, literally I think he probably hit like 20 of them over the course of the match. Like,
they had better matches in NXT.
I look, I can believe it.
They had better matches against each other in NXT last night, because that was the one match that gets me, because, hey man, it's Undisputed Era. I'm like, I'm huge, I'm big fans of all of them, and I was like, you could see the rust on, see the little rust and kind of the decline of their talents a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Roderick Strong's older, and Kyle O'Reilly's out for almost 2 years.
Both of them through injuries and everything. It's tough to see that. It's like
It was still a good match. Yeah,
to
your point, not their best match against
No.
each other, but it was still a very good match. Very intense, very hard hitting. Roderick retaining, and then you have Undisputed Kingdom come out. The big reveal, and like, I will say that, again, one of the criticisms that we have, we'll kind of touch on at the end of this, but do you think they maybe should have saved that segment with Adam Cole coming out of the wheelchair for Dynamite? I feel like them revealing that was maybe kind of overstuffing this pay-per-view more than it needed. And they didn't really get to dwell on that for as long as maybe they should have.
I'm gonna say I feel like this. I think that dramatic thing should have came out where he interfered with the match to screw over Kyle O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
I think just do something like dramatic, like oh, like he rolls down like with the wheelchair, and then he just gets up and he just like sweeps the leg or something, just to something to make it a little bit more dramatic.
Now, we'll say this, if, so my criticism of it was, like, maybe giving that away on the pay-per-view, where we're not going to see Adam Cole really do anything. But Undisputed Kingdom goes in the ring to celebrate with Roderick Strong, and as Adam Cole gets into the ring, you see Wardlow standing right there, and Adam Cole just gives him this look, like if looks could kill. Like, literally, he was staring daggers at the back of Wardlow's head. But then as soon as Wardlow turns to kind of look at him, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, happy-go-lucky Adam Cole, and he goes to celebrate to Roderick. So I kind of feel like they're teasing something there that's coming on Wednesday. And Jesus, like, Wardlow, it seems like every faction that you join, you get booted out, and it's like your heel, your babyface, your heel, your babyface. I think you really need to assess who your friends are in this industry. Like,
no, you really need to assess. You need to be in WWE.
Yeah, they need
some big boys. You need to be with the big boys.
Yeah, they need to kind of get his booking fucking in order in AEW, or he's gonna be gone.
I think it's with all the big guys they have there. It's not big guys like,
dude.
When you say there's a fit for certain things, Wardlow.
I was gonna say, Powerhouse Hobbs is gonna be facing Jon Moxley this Wednesday on Dynamite for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
I'm done.
Okay, explain yourself.
Stop promoting other fucking people's belts. Stop it. You have your fucking championships. Defend that shit on your fucking programs. Stop defending other people's fucking belts on your programs. You're just giving free promotion to fucking New Japan. Just fuck it. New Japan. Hobbs.
I feel like
look, you have fucking Ring of Honor. You have fucking your own fucking AEW titles. Why defend other fucking people's belts? You're doing their bidding.
I feel like that only works if you have AEW championships defended in other promotions as well. I don't know how often that happens, but it does feel like we see other promotions
come in and then put them up. Why defend that fucking title now? You got Forbidden Door in June. That's when. Why? To me, it's just like, why? Makes no fucking sense.
Speaking of titles, next match on the card was Jericho and Hook for the FTW Championship. I'll let you go ahead and give your thoughts on that, because I know we kind of talked about it off air. You were none too pleased. So
look, this whole FTW shit. All right, I'm gonna give. Here's a tinge from an ECW fan and a Big Taz fan in the '90s. What they did with that fucking title ruined the whole basis of that title. I can understand you bringing that title. You're gonna try to promote it. You're gonna keep it within that.
It made Taz sense family. When Team Taz was still a thing.
Yeah, and like you go to, if you're gonna give it to Hook, and I think the whole thing like, hey, I'm passing it to my son. You need to do this, defend it. But what makes the point for the only thing is, the match wasn't that bad. I don't think it was that bad. When people were booing because Jericho went over. And like,
well, they were booing him. They were booing him for a good majority of the match. It wasn't even the fact that he went over.
Just for everything. Yes, I think he needs to leave AEW. I think it's time. I think it's time to hang it up. It's time to hang it up. It's been great. We had the great Jericho run. Our greatest wrestler of all time. Go home. And when I mean go home, go back to WWE, do your retirement, go off to the sunset, but go home. I think it's time.
I'm not necessarily thinking that it's time for him to pack it up. I do think it's time for him to take some time off. Because I feel like we haven't had any kind of extended break from Jericho since he's been in AEW. Like, realistically, John Moxley is taking time off, granted due to injury, due to rehab, due to other things. Same thing with Bryan Danielson. Same thing with a variety of other like big name wrestlers. It feels like Jericho has kind of been the one constant, and it's like it kind of feels like he has gotten stale to this point.
Let's just call it what it is. He's 53 years old. Let's do 55. Time to retire. He had 2 years. Time to retire. You don't need to be like Sting, fucking 60-something years old wrestling. It's time. Let's start winding that shit down. Freaking, you got a wrestler that's younger than him going to be retiring at maybe not full time. He's not going to go full time, but he's going to be a part time. And Danielson, you don't have to go full time, but let's start winding this shit down. Now I do like to tease that, hey, Chris Jericho versus Taz. Taz gets the title back, and then let Taz say, hey, this shit's coming, staying with me. It's done. It's retired.
It just, like, to me, it didn't make sense for Jericho to go over in that match unless you're...
doing Taz.
Yeah.
If Taz doesn't come back, then this doesn't make no sense. Now, with Taz coming back, it makes sense. I'm there to see that. I want to see that. I don't, but I do. In the sense where I think both of them needs to be retired. But, yeah, I do want to see it. Retire the FTW belt. Because I'm just going to say this. I think next year, Hook's in WWE. I think it's undeniable.
And that was another reason why people...
That is so undeniable. He's going to be...
The rumor and innuendo that's out there, like, there are a lot of people that are saying that might be the reason why he dropped the belt to Jericho is because his contract's about to be up and he's about to be gone.
I think he's going to be gone. And I think his dad's probably saying, go. Go.
Dude, got to do what's best for you at the end of the day.
That, too, but also, too, is like... He also knows, too, that what his aura and what he can be done, his ceiling is so high. Go to a booker. Go to Sean. You can go to Sean. Mm-hmm. Sean can make him a fucking superstar. Shit, you can go to Hunter. Hunter can make him a superstar. Taz knows he goes either way because NXT is going to be a third brand again. Mm-hmm. And I think when we get to that, I'll have my thoughts on that one. But yeah, it's undeniable. He's going to WWE because he has to. It's his destiny too. Let's go and make him a superstar.
We followed that match up with Timeless Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's Championship, and these women tried to kill each other. Like literally, it was very, very hard hitting for the women. There's a pretty interesting story that was kind of conveyed. Like Thunder Rosa actually getting more time on the mic in the build to this match, but the whole like theme of like playing with face paint and stuff like that. Her coming out with the mask at the start of the match, taking the mask off and showing that she's just wearing basic makeup, not the full-on face paint that she normally does. The fact that like she smeared makeup all over Toni Storm's face a couple days prior to that in an in-ring segment, just like all these different like comparisons there. The fact that like Toni Storm was the one that won the interim championship belt whenever Thunder Rosa initially got hurt, it wasn't until much later that she was credited as being like full-time champ, not interim champ. So there's a lot of interesting storylines at play here. The fact that Thunder Rosa lost due to chicanery, it's kind of one of those things. They were able to have the great match and tell the story. Thunder Rosa is not necessarily completely out of the title picture, but at the same time, Toni Storm retains her heat. Thunder Rosa keeps her, babyface shine. It'll be kind of interesting to see where the women's division goes next from here.
Look, I think it's great. What makes me another thing too is why is Monet going to be going for the fucking TBS belt when everyone knows she's a champion.
I kind of feel like it's
her.
Well, because I feel like it's too soon to rush her into a program with Toni Storm. I feel like that is something that you maybe save for an All in London.
I didn't say you'd do like for Toni Storm, but like a Thunder Rosa, put her with someone up in the card, not fucking Will Nightingale for a TBS championship.
Okay, but again, it kind of makes sense that you put Thunder Rosa when she comes back in that feud with Toni Storm because it's like, hey, I never lost that.
No,
belt.
I'm just saying.
For all intents and purposes, that's still my
first
belt.
thing, we know Monet was not going to be into this pay per view.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to hold her off for another pay per view. So are we going to get Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa 2 pay per views in a row? Or we're going to have another storyline come in with Toni Storm to face, because I think there could be other things. But I'm saying, you're going to do next month. You didn't have to do Willow Nightingale. You're just playing off of shit that was not in your company and that happened in Japan, and hopefully everyone could, Willow Nightingale won the title. Yeah, let's tell the complete story. She won the title because Monet got hurt, and she was like, take the pin because I'm hurt. I'm not going to be able. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Monet made Willow Nightingale because there was an injury. Period. Okay. But we're talking about one of the best in the fucking world, which I disagree. I think she's a little bit overrated. To me.
I can agree. Especially with her injury history. It kind of feels like right as she's about to really have that sustained run, injured.
Well, like when I say that Bayley, I think Bayley is one of the best in the world, is because she has the in-ring skills, she has the mic work, she has the mindset, she has the
work ethic outside the ring too.
Monet can't fucking does no mic skills. I mean, they're not horrible, but basic.
As a heel, her mic, I think as a heel, her mic work is better than when she's trying to be a baby face.
I think with her heel run, her actions and her demeanor takes more than her words. I think her actions and demeanor makes her words better, but it's her actions and demeanor. But in ring, okay. You know, when I look at her and I look at Zelina Vega and I look at their body types, I'm like, they're the twins.
Pretty much.
Like
I mean, very very similar. Body type.
And I'm not saying that Bailey's muscular or anything, but
she
ass got some muscles.
She thick.
But shit, But if you're one of the best of the world, you're one of the best of the fucking world. I would not have her the first program be like, oh, TBS championship. No, you need to start you don't even have her freaking wrestle. You can start feuding, but going somewhere with it.
Yeah.
Plus, ain't your girl gonna be back by London?
You talking about Jamie Hayter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hayter versus, even with no title, no title, Hayter versus
Toni Storm.
Storm in London makes more sense than anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, it does.
I don't.
Well, I was gonna say, I know that she had kind of suffered a setback, but
in action late May 2000 confirmed that she would be.
Yeah, I mean, likely to return in 2024, but there's no estimated return date because she kind of had a setback in the recovery. So,
yeah. I got all the injury reports. I got all the.
Yeah. And one of the things that, when we were talking about Kenny Omega's Twitch stream earlier, one of the things that he revealed during that Twitch stream too, is that he's definitely not going to be returning to action anytime soon. I think it might be next year at the earliest is when you can expect to see Kenny Omega back.
I be honest with you, he's going to be the next Brock. He's going to be very part-time because you can't, that shit, once you have a flare-up, you gotta sit out. Mm-hmm. I think that's the other thing. People talk about Brock not wrestling is also too is he couldn't wrestle all the time. You could not be a week to week wrestler because with that little setback, you're out. Mm-hmm. You're done. You have to sit. You have to actually sit out because you can't wrestle. Can't take a bump. Can't do nothing.
I was gonna say, getting back to the pay-per-view, the match that kind of everybody was looking forward to on this card, circled on the card. Match that a lot of people are saying was one of the best matches in recent history. I mean, granted, recency bias. There's a lot of, hoopla about this match. Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. And I will say this. I have not gotten to watch all of the match. Just some of the clips that I saw I was pretty impressed. I was going to say your thoughts from having actually gotten to watch the pay-per-view.
It was a 5-star match until the end. Now, this might be kind of controversial, but that ending fucked up the whole entire match for me.
So,
I think it was a 5-star match. I would give it 5 stars, but I think at the end of it, it's a 3-star for me because of how the ending happened.
So one of the things that I kind of alluded to earlier when we were talking about the Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly match was the fact that they kind of rushed the whole thing that went down with Adam Cole, and I kind of feel like the ending of that match is another symptom of a larger problem, and that's, you know, especially if AEW is now going to be going to this monthly pay-per-view structure. They need to not overbook these pay-per-views where you can, instead of having 13, 15 matches, including a pre-show, you know, you only have maybe like 7 matches, 8 matches, and you give more of those stories time to breathe and angles time to develop. Because the whole injury angle thing with Danielson at the end, or with doctors checking on him and everything, they blew by that in like 2 minutes.
So, when the supposedly injury happened, and I don't know none of Will Ospreay's finishing moves, but he hit that first move that he said he's going to retire. That he's going to retire.
Oh, yeah, no. It was like it was something Suplex 93 or
yeah.
Or
that's the one.
Driver
That's the one where
yeah.
he got hurt. Supposedly got hurt, because when he hit it, you can tell that he was like, he started doing it. Then right off the bat, I was like, well, he looks like he might got hurt. No, referee's not checking up on him. So Ospreay goes and hits his other finishing move, the hidden blade, and then 1, 2, 3. Then you see the doctors rush, and I'm like,
from what I understand, the doctor tried to, or the referee tried to check on him and tried to like,
no.
But then Will Ospreay just immediately went in for the kill, and then
that ref was the slowest, lethargic ref there is. He did not. I was just like, I don't need to check. And he just grabbed him. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. The doctor's on the ringside. You can see him.
Yeah.
If you're the doctors, and something's really wrong, you jump in the fucking ring.
Right.
They have done that before in AEW. I would give credit to them before. They have done that. They didn't do that time, and I'm like sitting there. I'm like, that's weird. Maybe they didn't see that. Okay, yeah, benefit of the doubt. But then they come rushing him. I'm sitting there, and then they're like working on him, and Ospreay's trying to, and which I really thought was kind of like, all right, maybe he really is hurt, because Ospreay tried to check on him.
Yeah.
And then Don Callis was trying to come check on him. I'm like, sitting there, I'm like, maybe here. But then I saw something what the doctors did, which is the worst thing you can do. There's a possible neck injury. You don't fucking put your hands on the back of the head and then try to sit him up. I was like, oh, it's fake. And then they rushed to a video package, and it came back. It was like,
and it was
next
gone.
match, it was gone. It was gone. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, no, that's a gurney. That's a gurney.
Mm-hmm.
That's a neck brace. You put them on the no. All that is, you just fucked that whole up. If that was a way to end that match, if him not going off on a gurney and no 3 count, that would have been the that would have been a great
ending, and that's, again, it's a compelling story, because like, okay, we get to see Wednesdays, like, how is Ospreay going to react? Now, is Ospreay going to be like, you know, showing compassion, you know, wanting to reach out to Danielson, wanting to help him recovery, and then that's what causes the Callis family to turn on him, and that's how you get like true babyface Ospreay? Or is Ospreay going to lean into the dark side and be like, yeah, I wanted to take him out, and we lean hardcore heel? It's kind of like, we get to see where the story goes, but you develop that story even more if you have the time to have that moment of Danielson being wheeled out.
You fucked that up because you went to try to check on him. You can't turn mega heel on that now because you're concerned about him. You show compassion.
Right.
That's one. That if that's the case, you stop the match, have him wheeled out of the wheelchair, no decision, and then that can be a more bigger match coming back, a payoff match for that. Now you just did it. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck? I was just like one of those things. The first thing, like when you were just describing, talking about it, the one thing came in my mind is their blood and guts match when they clashed into fucking the cardboard like it was steel.
Yeah, the camera definitely did that segment no favors.
I just thought like, okay, here you go. You had this great match, but you fucked it up. And to me, it's a great match. It was a 5-star match. Probably match was probably fucking came in his pants, 7, 8 stars. But I'll be honest, like we go 5 stars for us. It's a 5-star match. To the ending, 3.
Yeah, the finish they kind of cast a pall over.
I was just sitting there. I'm like, why? I could see right now, like WWE. If this match was happening in WWE, Bryanson's going out on a fucking gurney. There's would be no pinfall, no match called off. Go on, and then it's going to be it'll be a long storm.
You build the angle, and
you build the angle. That I was just like, what do you do? And then the angles, like you said, you can't do that because you can't really turn major heel on it because you show compassion and try to make sure he's okay. No, can't heel off of that. You can turn babyface, but then Don Callis has to turn babyface because he was concerned about it.
Right.
So it's just like, what are you doing? What's the story? Now to me, it's like, oh, I'm gonna tune in just to see like, what the fuck are you? What are you trying to do?
How are you gonna write yourself?
How you back yourself in the corner? How you gonna get out? How you gonna get out? How you gonna get out? How you gonna work this out? That's to me. I was just like one of those. Why?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you are going to the monthly pay-per-view structure, or if not monthly, like almost monthly, like it's like AEW is doing now, look, UFC, whenever they have pay-per-views, whenever they have like the numbered pay-per-views, they're not defending every single belt on the card. You don't need to defend every single AEW championship on a pay-per-view. You can defend half of them on one, and then do the other half on the next one.
They have 16. They have 16 belts. They can't.
Yeah, no, I mean,
well, actually, that's actually 16 matches. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, again, like, less matches to give each match more time, and to let segments breathe and flesh out more. Like,
what we're saying is, Papa H got the right number.
Mm-hmm. We follow that match up with the ladder match for the vacant AEW Tag Championships with the Young Bucks and FTR. And I will say, 21 minutes, this was car crash television. I mean, Dax got busted open early on in the match, and I mean, it was a gusher. But I mean, there were some pretty crazy moves that they busted out on that. The whole somersault off the ladder onto the floor, and then getting like literally crotch dropped right on ladder. That was a spot that definitely stuck out. Numerous bumps. Of course, the big reveal at the very end of a fan rushing in the ring, pushing over the ladder that Dax was standing on to try to grab the titles. Security rushes in, fans wearing a Sting mask to rip it off. It ends up being Jack Perry. Now, I will say this, that I didn't get to mention when we were talking about the Punk Perry footage earlier. If anything, if there was one thing that you maybe got out of seeing the footage, you're like, oh man, okay, now I want a Punk and Jack Perry match. Oh wait, we're not going to get that because one guy's in WWE, the other guy is
never going to be able to go to WWE.
AEW, and like we're never going to get that match. So it's like you show that video, and it's almost like you're hyping up a match between Punk and Perry, and you're never going to get that. But I was going to say, whenever they had the New Japan event in Chicago, Perry got over big. In Chicago, people were cheering for Jack Perry. Whenever they did the reveal here, they were cheering for Jack Perry.
When he was coming out for New Japan on that New Japan show, when he was coming out, they were shouting CM Punk.
They were, but they were also cheering him. And there was also a certain certain segment of the fan base that were cheering anti-CM Punk chants. Sure. So it's like,
but when you can overhear it. It was like you can hear more of the CM Punk chants over the anti. That's great. There's going to be those people that's going to be anti CM Punk because they think that CM Punk trying to destroy, he's the destroyer of worlds. In which I don't think he is. I think he's...
There are some people that theorize that Punk was sent in to destroy AEW from within. like some of the theories that are out there are kind of crazy.
And that's the case. He's trying to ruin WWE, which, goddamn, he's just like, I'm about to make money.
Hey,
making money.
He already said in his first promo back at WWE, he's not here to make friends. He's here to make money. I mean,
and the thing is, he's making Now we can go. I can rant about that all about because I think what he's doing. I think finally without Vince and with with Hunter, I think he found a piece where they know what to do, and they're allowing him. And then with Sean, I think with Sean letting him come in NXT and helping out with the talent and teaching and producing, everything right now they're doing is just like touch the gold.
Yeah. Let's take this home with the main event, which was for the AEW World Championship, Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe.
The worst secret in the world that he was going to win.
Hey, it may have been the worst secret, but I was very happy to see it. I mean, look, Swerve's busted his ass the last 2 years. The writing was on the wall with this. It was his time. And not necessarily even thinking that Joe was like a transitional champion, but like it was the right person to put him over. At least because, Swerve took a beating in that match, but the thing is he kept getting back up, and, it took a lot to take Joe out of the match.
Is it? I'm about to say something. It might be conclude. I would say I think Joe is probably AEW's best professional wrestler, in a standpoint where, business wise, wrestling wise, all around, I think he's just the best with everything. All around.
He's one of the better all around talents. I'll definitely say that. He's got
the
mind for the game.
Mindset, everything. I think he's the best one. Him or Jericho. Those are the two that, if you're doing a title transition, those are the two that you want that will put you over and put you over.
He's a credible champion. Like him having your belt brings credibility to the belt.
Yes.
But then he
brings
he's
Brock
the perfect
Lesnar
person.
Credibility.
He's the perfect person to make a person. Not necessarily that Swerve needed to be made, but it definitely lends that extra bit of credibility. Oh shit, Swerve won the belt and he won it off of Joe. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's like, he won the title off of whoever. It's Samoa Joe, a legend in the industry.
Yeah. Great match. Great getting to see Swerve get his moment. Love the Black Panther entrance. That was pretty badass. There was a meme that was kind of circulating around that I saw earlier today. It was like, man, isn't it an amazing time when all three major promotions champions are black? And it was a photo of Swerve with AEW, Moose with TNA, and Cody Rhodes from WWE. And the joke is, it's like, oh no, Cody's welcome at the picnic, you know what I mean? He's welcome at the cookout. He's one of us.
That's terrible.
I know, it's terrible, but I got a laugh out of it. Like I said, I will say, just like overall, I thought it was a good pay-per-view as far as the in-ring action. There are some interesting, compelling storylines that make me want to watch AEW TV on Wednesday and Saturday, just to kind of see where they take some of these stories going forward. But again, some of the issues with the show, and I mean, there are some criticisms you can definitely levy at it. You've definitely named a few. I've named a couple. It's like, again, if we're going to be doing these monthly pay-per-views, fucking shorten the card and give shit time to breathe. That's one big takeaway. Let's go ahead and jump over to WWE. And there's definitely a lot that we can talk about WWE. Again, we talk about the success of WrestleMania weekend. This WrestleMania shattered a number of records. It was the highest grossing event in the company's history. Fact that the gate for this WrestleMania was up 78% compared to last year's WrestleMania. which was a previous record setter. The fact that viewership was up 41% versus last year. Merchandise sales are up 20% over last year. The fact that the Raw the Raw before WrestleMania
18 shows in a row.
Yeah, well, the 18 sellouts in a row. But the fact that like they've basically set attendance, gate records, everything, like the Raw, the SmackDown associated with WrestleMania, like literally they are crushing.
$77 million for live events that weekend. $77 million. It's mind blowing because it was always about that $1 million gate.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's $77 million gate. It's mind blowing, and it's the numbers that they're producing and how they're doing it, and how it's just not like one time. It's after another, after another, after another, after another. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're about to start rolling. We're about to roll into Paris. We're about to roll into Saudi. We're about to roll into Wales. We're about to roll into Toronto, leading up to going to Cleveland and leading up to going to Berlin. Is mind blowing, because they're just not doing it local in the United States. This shit's going global.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right.
Well, it's like you're finally getting to see the world in World Wrestling Entertainment.
It's like, I think it's actually making legit both titles. And because Cody was this past weekend on the UK tour, which, like I said, London was doing, bless you, was doing outstanding numbers. Wales, but it's that title is going all over the place, being defended. Roman had it in Saudi. That both titles, even with Seth, the titles are being defended out of the United States on foreign soil, which makes it legitimately a world title.
Yep.
Which New Japan has to, I hate to say it, New Japan try to come here to do that. The New Japan City Riot show only had 5,000 fans in Chicago, which is, I was like, wow, just 5,000? I was like,
well, because New Japan is definitely hurting. They're in a transitional stage. I mean, like all their top talents now either in AEW or WWE.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like, okay, right.
The pandemic, like really, the pandemic really, in a sense, kind of did them in.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also too is like, all right, you make an agreement, but don't sell your title. That title, the IWGP title, was the top title for the longest period of time because it was so prestigious. Now it's not defended into your own shows. You're lending, you're like, oh no, AEW, put it as a main event for Dynamite. No, that should be main eventing pay-per-views.
Yeah.
That's legitimately a title. And I don't know what's going to happen with New Japan or anything. I don't know their forecast with anything, but I know the title that Eddie Kingston has. I think they're defuncting it. It's not going to be a title anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they start moving all these titles and start doing. I'm like, I understand it, but I think it's like New Japan. Let's just call it what it is. That's New Japan. I think their era is gone. I think they need to recoup and start doing it, but
they need to rebuild. Like they're definitely going to be in a rebuilding stage. And like, look, I wouldn't necessarily count New Japan out for too long, because I mean, really, that is a sleeping giant if they can get their shit back together. But they're definitely going to be rebuilding, retooling. One thing that kind of came out of WrestleMania weekend, and like I didn't actually see the footage until like 2 days ago. And that was the footage of Seth Rollins actually like struggling to get into the ring for that spot in the Cody Roman match. Like literally can barely walk, struggling to get into the ring with that chair to be in the position to eat the Superman punch from Roman. It just goes to show you, like, when Rock put him over as the real MVP for that weekend, like, we knew he had the injuries going into Mania and the fact that he had taken some of that time off from wrestling so he could be somewhat 100% for the show. The fact that he kind of went all out night one in that tag match.
Yeah.
And then, granted, it wasn't a super long match with Drew to open the show, but you could tell that he was kind of struggling through that match with pain and everything. The fact that he still made a point to be out there for his spot in the main event, I mean, definitely kudos to him. I kind of, not that I didn't have respect for him, but I have a little bit of a newfound respect seeing him actually go out there and do all of that.
Yeah, I think I found more respect for him for this run because even when he had the title and he's like hurt, I'm like, man, he's hurt. Like, take the title off of him. He's hurt. Let him rest. Let him heal up. And I'm like, in my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is not going to end up well because he's going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to a point where you're going to lose him for a long period. Now, he had surgery, and his contract's up this year too. Him and Becky's contract is up. So it's like, all right, now he's hurt. Like, in my spot, I know they're not going nowhere.
Yeah, no.
They're WWE lifers.
But I mean, if they take time off,
they do need to take time. Becky was supposed to take time off. She's back on Raw tonight. Spoiler, because they need her. Because with
the Battle Royal, which we'll touch on that in a little bit too.
With Rhea.
I was gonna say we're gonna touch on that in a little bit because I do want to kind of go about that in depth,
but like it's just more. But goddamn, it's like I think last Raw, the last week's Raw in Montreal, shocking that they didn't sell it out.
Really,
it was not a sellout.
Damn, because that place was packed.
It's not a sellout.
Damn,
it was not a sellout.
I will say this, like, one thing that I have noticed with WWE TV is the fact that they changed the entrance, like the Tron and everything like that. Granted, like, they were saying it's like out of necessity just the way they've been packing a lot of these shows. I'm not even mad. Like, I could definitely roll with that less impressive Tron going forward if it means we're packing more people in the house.
They're going to do it at a limited basis depending on the venues.
Well,
like they go to Paris, because Paris, the SmackDown's going to be in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Paris probably going to have no Tron so they can fit all the fans because, that place is going to be booked. Like, Berlin. I think there's going to be those certain, like, WrestleMania weekend. Okay, we got to put more fans. Fans are going to get packed out. There's going to be those periods where it's going to be at different venues where they know, like, oh, this shit's going to be packed. Let's go, small stage.
Yeah.
I think, hey, they're feeding to their fans. Like, oh, well, we can sell more. Let's make money. Let's do business. It's like, if we're going to make money, we don't need this pomp and circumstance. Hey, let's make money.
Hey, look, I gotta say, like, one of the big things to come out of Mania weekend, though, that I absolutely love is everything that's going on with the Bloodline. Because just when you thought that perhaps the Bloodline was dead, that Roman Reigns is going to be off TV for a while, is the Bloodline going to flounder? And, no, like, this whole new Bloodline that we're getting right now, I fucking love everything about it. Roman's going to be off TV, you were saying, until
August. I think the call sheets were saying, like, August, the first week of August or something, right before, leading up to SummerSlam. So he's going to be out.
So he's out. We get to SmackDown after Mania. Basically, Jimmy gets booted unceremoniously out of the Bloodline. Like, literally, we get the debut of Tama Tonga. And I will say this, one thing that I fucking love about the Paul Levesque era is we brought in this guy that is known the world over from New Japan. We didn't try to bring him in and reintroduce him as, the Samoan Kid or some other bullshit, alias. We didn't change his name. We didn't saddle him with a new gimmick. We're like, no, this is Tama Tonga. This dude is a beast in New Japan. This dude's the son of Haku. Like, we put him over in a big way. Him attacking Jimmy and then Solo finishing Jimmy off.
But it also, too, is like, even before they brought him back, you could see how things are different because they brought Sean Spears back, but they didn't give him the old name.
Yeah, they didn't give him Ty Dillinger. Yeah,
they said Sean Spears. So it's like, all right, if you made your name outside of this company, they're going to let you run with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's great because, hey,
You're not insulting your fan base.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, this is okay.
You could be the same person if you want to retool the character and you want to, portray him in a different way. You could still do that.
And I love
but
it.
He is who he is.
What's also too is like if you notice too, they've been calling, when they're talking about Finn, when Finn Balor started doing segments behind the scenes, they came on Prince. So they keep dropping. I think there's so many different things that they're so more open and say, okay, yeah, look, New Japan, you got Prince, Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. They throw those little caveats out, which is great. Like when they brought AJ Styles, like they didn't repackage him. How do you repackage AJ Styles?
He's fucking AJ Styles. Been AJ Styles for 20 years at that point. Like,
yeah. So it was like Keith Lee. They didn't let him. They let him keep his name. So there's just the only repackaged
Bearcat Lee.
Oh god, that's fucking terrible. But well, Hunter didn't change his name in NXT. He was Keith Lee.
Yeah.
That was the thing. It was like, yeah, you could do that. This works. We don't have to repackage them and then own their rights. I mean, shit, you already own.
You're already making money hand over fist with these people.
But now like they can make their own career. Like, hey, I am Shawn Spears. I can leave here and I can still be Shawn Spears. I'm carrying my brand. Which is I think it's great.
But I mean, I do love this kind of change in Solo now being a little more vocal. I love that Paul Heyman is literally like the man in the middle and has no idea what to do. It kind of feels like Solo and Tama are about to murder him at any moment if he doesn't toe the line. But I kind of love this, especially if it leads to Heyman turning his back on Roman whenever Roman does make his return.
I'm waiting. There's still one more debut. We're still waiting for
Jacob Fatu. He's waiting in the wings.
So we're waiting for him, but it's also, I don't think Paul Heyman's going to turn his back on Roman because that's the thing that goes like. I don't think.
See, but here's the interesting thing, and this is again why just WWE is firing on all cylinders when it comes to compelling storytelling. Is like, if there's one thing that history has dictated when it's come to Paul Heyman, he fucking goes where the gold is, okay? So it's one of those things, it's like he latched on to Brock because Brock was the next big thing, and Brock was that big meal ticket. He latched on to Roman because Roman was going to be the tribal chief and that next big thing, so to speak. Now, with Roman's defeat and Solo kind of calling the shots, it's kind of that old lion, new lion, young lion thing. And does Paul Heyman continue the trend, continue following his history, and go with the new young talent, or is this in a sense going to be kind of a face turn for Paul Heyman? That's kind of the interesting dilemma there.
I think at some point Solo is going to dump Paul. I think Paul will then, because I think you're going to wait for Roman and for the Usos. The Usos going to get back together with Roman within time.
I feel like
but before
that's got to be Survivor Series and that's got to be War Games.
But I think before that, I think you're going to see Paul be splintered off from the Bloodline storyline. I really think that Braun Breaker is going to be the next Paul Heyman guy, and start doing things. I hope, and this is things I'd say. I always talk bad about Brian Corbin in the ring.
Baron Corbin in
the ring. They need to call him up and bring
the War Dogs.
War Dogs need to come to SmackDown or for Raw.
Well, we do have the draft coming up, and we'll talk about that too.
But they need to put him with Heyman. I really do. I think that would be so phenomenal.
See, but that's the thing though. I don't think you take Heyman out of the Bloodline stuff just yet.
Not yet, but I think you. But
eventually,
you need to start.
Yeah.
You can make the Heyman Bloodline where, he could go to Roman and be like, look, we need you can go Jay into to Jimmy and be like, look, we need help, but look, his dad is bloodline. His blood is a bloodline, a different bloodline, but he can help. And you can kind of like make things. Bring Sammy into this. He's like, he was bloodline. You know, there's so many things you can do, but I think it's long term. But I think in between this, I think Heyman is going to be kind of casted off, and I think you have to start finding his new Dangerous Alliance WWE style. I think that was kind of.
I mean, look, there have been talks about how the Bloodline has been like one, if it's not the best, definitely one of the best storylines in WWE programming in a long time. Yeah. And the fact that that's been a solid, consistent storyline for 3 years. The fact that we're 3 years later and we are still talking about it, and we're about to have a next evolution of it, it really, it's just kind of crazy that this storyline is still going. And it's still going well, and it's still so compelling. It's kind of, in a sense, like what the NWO could have been if the NWO didn't fucking add everybody and their grandmother into the fucking fold.
Wrong faction. It's the Bullet Club.
Well, yeah.
It's the Bullet Club.
Yeah, but Bullet Club, you could also say, goes back to NWO. I'm just saying.
But it's the Bullet Club. Bullet Club is the NWO done right.
Yeah.
It's a Bullet Club.
Maybe not so much in recent, over the last
not recent, but like it's the Bullet Club done right the first three iterations.
Yeah, you have then the situation with Rhea Ripley, which we kind of talked about earlier, and it sucked because that Raw after Mania, it was great seeing Liv just fucking chuck that chair at her. And then, slam her to the wall and fucking beat her down and get her revenge, so to speak. But then we find out that the way Rhea hit that wall fucked up her shoulder, and she's going to be out of action now for a few months. Potentially surgery, recovery, etc. Now we have a vacant women's world championship that's actually being defended in a battle royal on Raw right now as we record this. So I guess, in a sense, where you have tragedy in a way, there's also opportunity. Because, I was very happy to see Rhea win that belt, but that's okay, well, where do we go from here with her? Because she's been running roughshod over the division for a year. But now with her being on the shelf against her will, kind of leaves an opportunity for when she makes a comeback for her to be even bigger than she left. So, what are some of your thoughts as far as who you would want to see maybe emerge with that belt tonight?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Don't tell me you're looking at spoilers. Stop it.
I didn't know it's spoilers because I won't be able to watch it. I got to work the whole week.
Yeah, I know, but I was going to say, we don't need to be looking at Raw spoilers as we're trying to record a state of wrestling. Yeah, I know. You got it right there. Stop. We're going to discuss.
I'm looking at the women in the ring, so let's be real about that.
Okay, you're looking at the women in the ring.
So let's be real. Let's say, look, it makes sense to put it on Liv. I understand, but also too is you got to reward for. You also have to reward because after Rhea, number 2, the wrestler that's been on Raw that's been killing it.
Nia Jax.
And
how much is he killing you to say that?
It's killing me. But she's been
great since she's come back.
And then
we made it a point to shit on Nia Jax on this show because before she got released the first time, just the fact that she kept injuring wrestlers.
Yeah.
And it's you can't be doing that. But since she's come back, she has knocked it out of the park. I love the character work. I love that they're actually booking her as a true badass.
I'll be honest with this. Where they're at tonight is in Columbus, Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Would have been great if Alexis Bliss was ready to return.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. There's no estimated return date for her because she's still on maternity leave. But if she would have came back tonight and win it in Columbus, her hometown, fucking phenomenal.
That would have been great.
But I would put it on Nia or on Liv. I don't think, but especially the people that's in the ring. That's the only. And the only other thing I could say they can put it on would be Becky, because they called.
But we don't.
I don't need to see that.
It's a retread, and like I feel like it's too soon to put Becky back, to put the title back on Becky. Like I don't feel like she needs it right now. I will say, as much as I would love for Liv to get it right away, I do feel like there would maybe be better story involved if, like, you put it on, say, a babyface, or you put it on Nia, and you have the chase with Liv, like, really let her live out this Liv Morgan revenge tour deal, and then you wait to put it on her until Rhea is ready to come back. So that way, whenever Liv gets the belt, she has her moment, it's like, I won, boom, there's Rhea re-debuting to be like, oh, nope, well, now I'm getting my belt back. And then you have a nice long program right there with the two of them.
And the other person I would think about putting on, but it's too early into her character elevation, is Candice LeRae, because this new Candice LeRae character, I think this shit's gonna go over big.
I like this new Candice LeRae.
And they finally
got Indy Hartwell with the program
to come in. I was like, then I stopped and I'm like, oh. Are we going to have... What was their faction called before?
The Way?
The Way.
Yeah.
Are the Way coming back? Can we get the Way coming back minus fucking Austin Theory? Because that makes it even better. Because I'm so like this. My favorite guy has been off air since last May.
Dexter Lumis.
Dexter Lumis has been off air.
Oh, yeah.
Why? He's shown it not hurt.
Is he still under contract?
Yes, he's just inactive.
Like they don't have anything for him?
No, I keep.
I was gonna say you gotta watch me back up there, buddy.
Yeah, Dexter Lumis inactive since May 29th, 2023.
I know he was filming some stuff, like movie project, not like movie, TV projects and stuff like that a while back. But yeah, it feels like he's been gone.
For a guy that only said 2 words in his entire WWE run.
Look. The one other big thing that I can't believe we haven't talked about yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this women's belt coming out of the Battle Royal tonight. But one of the things we haven't talked about is the debut of the new tag belts on both Raw and SmackDown. What are some of your thoughts about it? I like that the WWE belts are kind of a throwback to the old WWE or the WWF Tag Championships. And then whereas your World Tag Team Championships are based kind of around the world title belt aesthetic that we see with the men's and women's World Championship belts. So yeah, I was going to say, you got it pulled up. Like I said, in a way, the SmackDown one, which is the WWE Tag Championships, that's almost, at least from the design aspect of it.
Yeah, it's more... it's more, I would say... Let me see if I can find a better image.
Well, I was going to say, you can even just look with the shape of the belt. It's almost kind of like,
Yeah, it has the feel of the old 90s Tag Team Championship belts, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I like the black and the gold on it. It kind of reminds me of the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that it does not include any of the McMahon...
bullshit.
Yeah, they're how you call it?
The lie,
the lions and their family crest.
Uh-huh.
It's more European based, which I love. I love it. I love that title better than the World Tag Team Championships, which is just what the fuck.
I don't think the World Tag Championships look bad. Like I said, it definitely is more in line with the world belts, like the Women's World Championship and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or just the World Championship. It's more in line with those belts. So it's definitely hey, this is the aesthetic for this brand, so to speak.
Yeah, I just don't like the maroon in it. I don't like the maroon. The maroon kind of
You think if it was just straight black, it would maybe...
and kind of it has that little clay color in the background. It looks very Ring of Honor-ish.
It looks. I will say this: it looks a lot better than the old Copper Penny belts.
Oh yes, hands down.
Yeah.
It looked better than the belts that they had. I agree with that. It looks old school Ring of Honor style to me a little bit, especially with the maroon because
It's kind of like old meets new.
A lot of Ring of Honor belts back in the day had like maroon in it. But dude, that the WWE tag team belts are.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the look and design of both belts.
I would buy one for me and my brother if it wasn't $500 a belt.
It's look, and I will say it is nice that you don't have that whole blue and red aesthetic to like identify it as, you know, oh, it's this or it's that. It's like these are belts that could definitely flow between shows. Like if we had a shake up with the WWE draft or whatever, and it's not going to look out of place being on brand. We don't have to do an exchange of belts because like, oh, hey, these are SmackDown belts or oh, these are Raw belts.
You can interchange them whenever you need to do the interchange.
Draft, which I was gonna say real quick because we do need to jump into some releases and the draft. What we think of AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes is first title defense against AJ.
Correct one.
Yep.
I also say too, I am glad that they are doing the NXT North American Women's Championship.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to have a women's mid card belt in NXT. It would be nice to have a women's mid card belt on the main roster, but maybe we develop those women's tag belts a little bit better. You do have the storyline that's brewing with Jade and Bianca going up against Damage Control or the Kabuki Warriors. So
I would say this: if you want to bring in, do away with the women's tag belts because I keep saying this. Do away with the women's tag belts. Bring a mid card belt in, and put that shit on Jade and let her do what she did in AEW with that mid card, and just let her run rampant.
I do. Well, like, I will say, though, I do like the idea of the women's tag belts, though, because it's like, then you get more women involved in a show in like, the mid-card scene. I don't think you go away with them completely. Though. Well, that's you do. Problem. And I feel like that might be Triple H's goal upcoming with building up Bianca and Jade, and then maybe building up more compelling women's tag teams. But that's a thought.
Also, too, with those belts, you have to, at some point, got to put them on NXT talent because it goes on all three brands.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen those titles on NXT girls yet, and it's like you got to have that title swap sometimes on all three brands. That's the problem. Like you got to do it. Like I know Jade and you're gonna put the titles on Jade and Bianca, and it'd be perfect to have them keep them relevant with titles, with storylines. When you developing storylines for Bailey, because you really don't want that Bailey, Bianca, or Bailey, and you don't want them that to cook yet. And then also like we don't know what's going to happen on Raw with the Women's World Championship, but I can understand like there's different ways to do it, but I'm like you gotta have them defending, and you gotta have them defending on shows that's relevant to make them relevant. Because right now, that tag titles are not relevant at all.
One of the things that we saw during SmackDown, or as SmackDown was going on last week, was a slew of releases. By slew, I mean we only had 5 releases, so it's not like the major culling that we're used to after WrestleMania weekend. But like among the notable names out there, Jinder Mahal getting released, Zion Quinn getting released, Xia Li, Veer Mahan, and Sangha. Now, Veer, Jesus fuck Christ, it felt like for 2 years Veer was coming to Raw, like coming soon to Raw, Veer. And then they finally released him, and then Jinder Mahal, one of the worst WWE champions ever. And not necessarily his fault. It was just literally WWE booking at the time. It's like this guy that has been a perennial loser on WWE television for years, all of a sudden wins a 6-pack qualifier match and then is the WWE champion the following week. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
I don't know. I kind of like his
run. Look, I like the modern day Maharaja character. I thought it was kind of stupid that they did like a racism segment with him and Shinsuke Nakamura, and that was like his big antithesis of why he shouldn't be wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura. It just felt kind of weird and very below the belt. Um, but yeah, like it just kind of felt like after he had that run as champion, then he was back to being mid card fodder, doing nothing. And then even like he'd be on TV for a few weeks, and then you wouldn't see him for months, and then be on TV for a few weeks, and then you wouldn't see him for months. It's like they keep hindering Jinder, and then this is what happens, you know, like. But I love the fact that he was like basically on Twitter, "F this, I quit," and it was like, oh no, he got released. But don't run with it. He's got the 90-day no compete. What do we think of Xia Li? Because that's one that's like, okay, she had talent, but
she has talent, but she just didn't have it.
it's like, the character is like 1 minute she's a superhero, then the next minute she's a villain, and the next minute she's a superhero.
I don't think she could. I don't think she could. The problem with Xia Li, I never got, even with NXT, I never got over with her where I was like, it's, she just, I don't know. I don't think WWE is the right. I think she'd do great in AEW because like character work is it's hit or miss sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But with WWE, it was hard for her to compile a character. I saw who won.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, don't you say a word because we're not gonna talk about it on the show right now. Real quick.
Sure, because that'd be a good 5-minute banter.
Hey, look, real quick, we got the WWE draft that's gonna be starting this Friday on SmackDown. What are some names that you feel like are gonna be moved about? Like, who do you see going on what show?
God damn, it's so hard. It's so hard because it's hard to kind of determine. God,
I will say that here's an interesting thing with Raw moving to Netflix next year. Do you move a Cody off of SmackDown over to Raw because that's going to be, you know, the big, or do you not want to piss Universal off?
I don't think. I think you need Cody. I think, and see the thing with Fox. Fox runs out in October, and SmackDown will go on Fridays on USA in October. Cody, if you keep the champions as is, I think you're okay. I think you need Logan Paul. I think you move Sammy to SmackDown and you take Logan Paul, put him in on the Raw. I think he needs to be more off regular TV.
Mm-hmm.
Put him on USA so it can be a little bit more edgier.
Mm-hmm.
But like once they go to Netflix, yeah, Logan Paul needs to be on fucking Raw. But to me, it's hard to see Cody not be on Raw because he has built that show to the Cody Rhodes Raw.
Yeah.
You know, it's not Monday Night Rollins. It's Cody. It's Cody Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Cody made that show. Before he was hurt, they used to have a freaking little ticker on the side. Cody Rhodes, 10 o'clock hour. Cody Rhodes, 40 minutes.
30 minutes, 40 minutes, right.
But I think now with Raw, with Punk coming back, you can keep Rollins as the face of Raw with McIntyre and Sheamus. I say Sheamus to Raw. I really don't see what you mess around with.
I could see Sheamus to Raw. I could also see like Shinsuke Nakamura going down to SmackDown or going down to NXT, excuse me, because I do kind of feel like he needs not so much like a refresh, but I kind of feel like he's run through everything he can do on the main roster.
I say you're gonna have Dragunov go to Raw. Wherever Gunther goes, Dragunov goes to Raw.
I feel like Gunther and Cody need to be on the same show. So whether that's he stays on Raw or moves to SmackDown. Technically, now that Cody is the WWE champion, he is now a SmackDown superstar. He still appears on Raw, but like if you look at WWE's roster page, he's listed as a SmackDown superstar.
Well, because you won the title, you're the SmackDown championship.
Right.
So I don't think you need to have Gunther and Cody because I think the storylines are going to be built with Gunther winning King of the Ring. I think that's right now your favorite to win the King of the Ring. But I don't think it's Gunther and Cody on the same. It's Gunther and Dragunov on the same brand.
Well, no, they definitely need to be.
You got to be on the same brand. But also too is, if you're rolling into Berlin, I know Cody is the top baby face and everything, but if you can get a Drew McIntyre champion rolling into Berlin and have Gunther facing McIntyre in Berlin, that shit gonna go bananas because German hate the fucking Scottish and the Scottish hate the Germans. It will go big. And it'll be like one of those things like, well, yeah, it's the reverse. Like, Gunther will be the babyface, Drew will be the heel, but they're both heels. But it's a chance for him to go over. But it's going to be so big. The pop will be so big just because of that experience. So, like, I would try to do Gunther. But then also, too, is like, if Punk's back, man, Punk and Drew McIntyre is going to go this way.
Look, that's the definite program.
But if you even do it, if you get like a Dragunov versus Gunther over in Berlin, it's going to be phenomenal. I think Gunther is going to be really big. I think that Gunther, Sheamus, Drew still storylines are still there. And then I think also, but see the thing too is Sheamus needs to be in the same show as Intercontinental Championship. So it's so many things.
It's gonna be It's gonna be interesting to see how this all breaks down. I'm gonna be looking forward to coming back on this show 2 weeks from now, and we actually evaluate the draft and actually go through and see how all three of the promotions did.
Yeah.
Which one got better, which one maybe took a step back. I kind of feel like, look, we're in a set spot where no matter how they distribute the talent, it's all going to be for the good.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. Whatever they do, I'm looking forward to see what they do.
Yeah, no, I mean,
because I think NXT's killing it with Shawn, Hunter's killing it on Raw and SmackDown. I don't think it's really hard. You can go wrong with anything because it's everything they're doing right now is like freaking amazing. Until you see who won tonight, then you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, on that note, I want to go and actually watch this shit. So, I was gonna say that's gonna do it for this week's edition of the Rage and Marks Wrestling Podcast. Thank you as always for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And until we meet again, this is Ravishing Randy signing out.
Shit, I'm trying to do two things at once. I lost my mouse control. Sorry.
Rampage. You want to say goodbye to the level?
Well, I can't. I can say goodbye, but we're still going to be in there because I can't get to the freaking control panel. So like, yeah. Oh shit. Okay.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah. Rampage Ramsey out, and I hope you guys have a great draft.
Enjoy.
Both football and and then WWE. You guys have a good one.
Too bad the Saints are gonna fuck it up like they have been every draft as of late.
Yeah, that'd be another.